Ethan stood in the courtroom, his heart racing as the final verdict echoed in his ears. The judge's words had turned the air electric, a buzz of tension that wrapped around him like a thick fog. As the bailiff stepped forward, preparing to escort Officer Daniels away in handcuffs, Ethan's small frame felt both heavy and light. He had faced the darkness, and against all odds, emerged victorious. But victory tasted bittersweet, overshadowed by the weight of his mother's absence. The courtroom erupted into chaos, a mix of hushed whispers and frantic energy as the reality of the verdict sank in. Murmurs cascaded from every direction, each word a wave crashing against the shore of Ethan's fragile resolve. He caught snippets of conversation, phrases like innocent child and corrupt cop weaving through the air. Then, just as Officer Daniels was about to be led away, something unexpected ignited a new tension in the room. An older man, clad in a long coat and wearing a hat that shadowed his eyes, rushed forward from the back of the courtroom. "Wait," he called out, his voice steady yet commanding. All heads turned, including those of the judge and the officers. The man approached, his eyes locking onto Ethan, but there was something unsettling about the way he stared, an urgency that made the hairs on Ethan's neck stand up. "What is it?" the judge said, incredulous. "Do you have something to say?" "I do," the man replied, his voice quieter now. He pulled a small, worn notebook from his coat pocket and flipped it open. "I've been following this case closely. You don't know the whole story." Gasps echoed once more, and Ethan's heart raced as he glanced at his attorney, who looked equally baffled. The man continued, his gaze darting around the room as if afraid his words would get him into trouble. Ethan's mother wasn't just any victim. She was involved in something bigger, something dangerous. What Officer Daniels hid goes beyond this trial. "What do you mean?" the prosecutor pressed, unable to hide his interest. Sarah Mitchell was on the verge of exposing a network, the man revealed, his voice intensifying with each word. "This is about more than Officer Daniels, it reaches all the way to the chief of police. And if you don't believe me, look into the records. There were disappearances, vandalism, all tied to a group that she was onto." Ethan's mind raced. What secrets had his mom known? He had only thought about finding justice for her death, not uncovering layers of corruption that ran deeper than he could have imagined. Before anyone could respond, Officer Daniels shifted. "You're lying," he barked, shaking his head in disbelief. "You're just trying to save me by weaving a tale no one will believe." But the man pressed on. "No, you're the liar, Grayson. You think you can cover this all up? You may have silenced Sarah, but you can't silence the truth." He turned to the judge and gasped, "I have names, certain officers involved in this. It's why she was killed." Ethan felt the court tremble under the weight of this revelation. Daniels stood frozen, his earlier arrogance washed away. The fear in his eyes flickered back, a shadow of what it had been before. The courtroom erupted into chaos again, questions and accusations flying from every direction. "Order," the judge barked, but it was a futile effort. People shouted over one another, trying to grasp the gravity of what had just been revealed. Ethan felt his heart race, a mix of fear and exhilaration bubbling inside him. The darkness wasn't just personal, it was a web stretching far beyond his mother's death. As the tension built, Ethan stepped forward, feeling a strength seep into him. "No," he shouted, cutting through the noise. "This isn't just about Officer Daniels or what he did to my mom. It's about everyone who looked the other way. If my mom was right, then we can't stop here. We have to uncover the truth together. We can't let this man get away with everything." The courtroom fell silent, all eyes back on Ethan, their hearts heavy with the power of a boy's plea for justice. The older man nodded, a glint of respect in his eyes. "He's right," he said. "This is just the beginning, but it can also be the turning point that your community desperately needs." With renewed fervor coursing through him, Ethan felt the burden lift a little as he realized he was no longer just a boy pointing fingers, he was now a voice for the truth, ready and willing to drag the secrets into the light, whatever it took. "Your Honor," Ethan said, his voice steadier now, "I want to help. I want to find out what really happened to my mom, and to anyone else like her. Please let me." The judge raised an eyebrow, clearly taken aback by the courage and determination in Ethan's eyes. The air in the courtroom thickened once more, but this time with a hopeful kind of energy, a promise that the truth would emerge, no matter how deep the shadows ran. And as the gavel slammed down again, an unsettling new chapter opened in the fight for justice, one that promised danger, secrets, and a chance for Ethan to uncover not just the past but the unyielding strength of his mother's spirit echoing through him. The gavel fell hard against the wood, but the noise barely registered as Ethan's words echoed in the courtroom. "I want to help," he repeated, determination shining in his wide eyes. An electric current surged through the room, shifting the atmosphere from chaos to a palpable tension. Order, the judge barked, yet the murmurs continued, disbelief and curiosity interwoven among the crowd. Ethan could feel their eyes on him, his heartbeat mirrored the rising drama. Officer Daniels shifted uncomfortably, his earlier facade cracking further beneath the weight of suspicion that now encased him. Your Honor, Ethan said, his voice gaining strength, I need to know the truth about my mom's death. If my mom was involved in something, I can help find out what that was. Kid, you don't know what you're asking for, the older man said, urgency flooding his tone. He stepped closer, fixing Ethan with an intense look. This isn't just a schoolyard mystery. It's dangerous. There are people who don't want the truth to come out. Ethan remained undeterred, the fire of loss igniting his spirit. But I can't let them win. They hurt my mom, and I won't let her memory be buried under lies. With that, the courtroom exploded into a flurry of whispers and disbelief. The judge looked taken aback but regained her composure. This is highly irregular, she declared, the authority in her voice battling the chaos. Ethan, you are a child. You should not be involved in this level of investigation. The older man, whose name Ethan didn't know yet, leaned in closer to the bench. Your Honor, I believe this child could be the key. His already uncovered information that didn't come to light during the trial. We need to hear what he knows. Eyes darted around the courtroom, catching every flicker of doubt and concern. The prosecutor's expression hardened, and the defense attorney's brows knitted into a calculating frown. Ethan took a step toward the bench, voice steady. I saw things the night my mom didn't come home. Things that mattered. She told me not to trust anyone, but I can't just stand by and let them get away with this. His heart raced. Would they believe him? Would they let him help? The courtroom hung in a fragile silence, everyone holding their breath. All right, said the judge, reluctantly relenting. Ethan, what do you remember? What do you think happened on that night? Ethan swallowed hard, the memories flooding back, the way Officer Daniels had looked when he delivered the news, the blood on his uniform, the anger in his mother's eyes as she spoke of whistleblowers before the crash. My mom told me she was onto something. She said there were bad people doing bad things and that if she didn't come home, I should tell someone I trusted. With every word, the weight of scrutiny shifted to Officer Daniels. Ethan's pulse quickened as he continued, I found her notebook. After she died, I just thought it was drawings, but I saw the name. It was written down, a name she mentioned to me once. What name? The judge pressed, leaning forward now, engrossed in the growing revelation. Benjamin Hart, he whispered, the name sending ripples of recognition through the crowd. Eyes widened, people turned to share glances, and some even gasped. He's a politician. Ethan saw the way people shifted, the name ricocheted through the courtroom like a bullet. She said he was involved in everything that was happening. Money going missing, drugs, all of it. Officer Daniels exploded from his chair, hands raised in a desperate plea. Don't listen to him. It's just a child, he doesn't know what he's saying. But his fright had a hollow ring as uncertainty rippled through his voice. No, Ethan argued, feeling the surge of everything he had been holding back. He was at the gas station that night. I saw him. You're grasping at straws. Daniels shot back, voice thick with anger and something else, fear. It was visible in the way he gripped the edge of the table as if it were his last refuge. The judge pounded her gavel again, but the courtroom was lost in speculation. Order, she commanded, but it seemed to fall flat against the weight of Ethan's accusations. The older man stepped forward again. Your Honor, if Benjamin Hart is involved, we must investigate. This goes beyond a mere murder case, this is about a system of corruption within our city, and Ethan is at the center. He could be the connection we've been missing. Enough, the judge said, grounding her authority in the whirlwind. We'll adjourn for the day, but I want all evidence and testimonies reviewed. It's clear we have more than just a simple case of misfortune. As the chaos began to settle, a hush fell over Ethan. His heart pounded with an understanding of the weight he had unwittingly placed on his small shoulders. They were far from finished. The battle for truth was only just beginning. Walking out of the courtroom, the older man caught Ethan's gaze. You did well, kid. We've only scratched the surface, but it's a start. Will they believe us? Ethan asked, his voice barely a whisper. Believe me, they don't have a choice now, the man replied, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. But we need to move quickly. If Hart gets wind of this, it could get dangerous. Ethan felt a shiver course through him, but alongside that fear was a fierce resolve blooming in his chest. He had faced Officer Daniels, exposed his betrayal, and now he was learning it wasn't just about one person. It was about an entire system that needed to be dismantled, and somehow, he was tangled in the center of it all. Stepping out into the afternoon light, a storm of emotions churned within him. As he walked beside his grandmother, who had come to support him, Ethan knew they were about to uncover secrets that could shake the foundations of their town. But as slow as the path ahead seemed, one thing was certain: he wouldn't back down. He would find the truth for his mother, no matter the cost. The air outside the courtroom buzzed with anxiety, crowds milling about, reporters jostling for interviews, but Ethan's focus was razor-sharp. He felt the weight of his mother's memory on his shoulders as he stepped into the throng, essences of determination and fear combining in his gut. "Ethan, you've got guts, kid." The comment came from his grandmother, her voice laced with pride as she caught up with him. Yet, all he could think about was the name Benjamin Hart and the ominous shadow it cast on the town. "I know we need to move fast," Ethan said, urgency creeping into his voice. "If Daniels was afraid, Hart's power runs deeper than anyone realizes. We've got to find evidence, something incriminating." His grandmother's eyes widened. "How do you plan to do that?" He looked at her, steeling himself. "We start with what I saw that night." Their next steps took them to the gas station, the site of his pivotal memory. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as they entered, the smell of gasoline and chips hanging heavy in the air. Ethan's heart raced in anticipation. The security footage. It might still be there. "Let's ask," his grandmother urged, both with determination and apprehension. Ethan approached the cashier, an older woman with tired eyes, and summoned courage. "Do you have the security footage from last week, specifically the night my mom died?" The cashier furrowed her brow. "That's a big request, kid. Boss usually doesn't allow footage to be released without a police request." "I need it," Ethan pressed, the urgency pumping adrenaline through him. It could help find who killed her. Her gaze softened, and a momentary flicker of empathy passed across her features. "All right, but I'll need you to come back tomorrow. I can't just hand it over now. Have your mother's case report on you." "Thanks," he whispered, a plan forming in his mind. Casting nervous glances over his shoulder as they stepped back outside, Ethan felt the shadows loom closer. What if Hart or Daniels caught wind of what they were doing? They had to act quickly, and stealthily. "Tonight," Ethan said firmly, "we'll get into the police station. I can't wait for a response. There might be more clues, records, anything they keep on file." "Are you insane?" his grandmother gasped, a mix of disbelief and caution lacing her words. "That's dangerous." "I know. But if we don't do it now, it could slip away, just like my mom. She wouldn't let this go." The night turned dark, heavy clouds hanging low, echoing their uncertainty. As they stealthily approached the police station, Ethan's heart raced, adrenaline surging through him. They crept around the back, sticking to the shadows. "Just a quick look," Ethan murmured, gripping the rusty doorknob. It creaked in protest as they slipped inside, darkness enfolding them like a cloak. Their footsteps echoed ominously in the dimly lit hallway as they made their way toward the records room. Ethan's palms were slick with sweat as they traversed the uncertainty. The station was quiet, but he could sense the undercurrents of tension simmering beneath the surface. Suddenly, a flicker of light cast shadows at the end of the hallway, making Ethan stop in his tracks. "There's someone," he whispered, pressing against the wall. "It's probably a guard. We should go," his grandmother urged frantically, but Ethan's resolve steeled. "No. We need to know what they're doing." He peered around the corner, eyes straining to find the source of the light. The guard was speaking into a radio. Ethan strained to hear. "You have to get rid of him. I don't care how, just ensure nobody finds out. We can't have any loose ends, especially that boy and his grandmother." Ethan froze, adrenaline pounding in his ears. "They're onto us. We need to get out." "But the records, we can't leave without looking." "No. They'll figure it out," he insisted, grabbing her wrist and urging her backward. But just then, the guard turned, eyes narrowing as he spotted them. "Hey," he barked, rushing forward. Ethan's heart leaped into his throat. They dashed for the nearest exit, the adrenaline fueling their escape. They stumbled through the station doors, bolts of panic racing through their veins as they sprinted into the night. But as they turned the corner, they were met eye to eye with none other than Officer Daniels, flanked by two other officers. "Thought you could sneak in, did you?" he sneered, authority laced in his voice. "Run!" Ethan shouted, but before they could react, Daniels lunged forward, grabbing Ethan's arm and pulling him close. You think you're clever? You have no idea how deep this goes, kid. Ethan fought against his grip, catching sight of his grandmother's terrified expression. You don't know what you're doing. Daniels bellowed, his voice crackling with rage and fear. But then something remarkable happened. The front doors swung open behind them, and in strode someone Ethan didn't expect, Benjamin Hart himself, flanked by his henchmen. Is this the boy? Hart sneered, taking in the scene before him. Officer, let him go, he's of no importance to us now. Ethan's pulse raced. Hart had the power to erase everything, the voice of a child against the darkness threatening to swallow every truth whole. No, he screamed. You can't do this. My mom knew. Hart flashed a toothy smile, faux charm masking pure malice. Ah, but she never knew how deep the rabbit hole goes, and you're about to find out. Before Ethan could comprehend the gravity of his words, the guard behind him seized the opportunity, shoving him hard to the ground. He stumbled, winded, as his grandmother gasped, stepping forward in horror. Leave him alone, she shouted. But just then, a blur of unexpected chaos erupted. A figure in a dark hoodie crashed through the door, knocking over the table beside them. Ethan. We have to go. Before Ethan could react, he felt a strong hand gripping his arm, and they were off, running through the smoggy night. The figure pulled him behind the nearest alley, and as they gasped for breath, the stranger turned, revealing a familiar face. It's me, Sam. Sam? Ethan couldn't believe his eyes. What are you doing here? Your grandma told me you were planning something dangerous. I came to warn you, but it looks like I might have saved you. Where's my grandma? Panic washed over him. She's fine, behind you. Sam called, glancing back. A bolt of adrenaline coursed through Ethan as he turned, breathless with relief seeing her emerge from the shadows. They needed to regroup and plan, to find a way to expose the corruption behind Hart and Daniels, but a new urgency surged through him. You have to trust me, Ethan. We're not done, Sam urged, his eyes catching a glint of steel as he motioned toward Daniels, Hart, and their men who were rounding the corner, closing in like predators. This can't end here, Ethan said, determination boiling in his gut. We won't let them win. Together, Sam said, squeezing Ethan's shoulder as they prepared to face the storm ahead. They might be outnumbered, but together they could fight back. As the tension spiraled tightly around them, Ethan felt a surge of hope mixing with fear. They had the power to unveil the hidden truths and secrets that twisted through the town, and this time, they would do it before the darkness swallowed them whole. Let's do this, Ethan said, his voice strong and unwavering. They moved forward, ready to dismantle the web of lies that had ensnared so many and ensure that justice, once elusive, would echo with clarity and strength. With a fierce determination in his heart, Ethan took one last look at the shadow of their pursuers, a steely fire blazing in his chest. His mother's memory lit the way forward, the battle against darkness had only begun, and he wasn't backing down. The fight for truth relied on their courage, a courage that would ultimately change everything. Together, they would uncover the heart of corruption that threatened their lives, and no one, not even the ones who held power, would escape the reckoning that was to come.